I've been exploring Copilot for OneDrive the last couple of days, and I want to share my findings and thoughts with you. First of all, Copilot, in case you haven't heard, is Microsoft's AI assistant that seemingly makes you more productive by understanding your requests, finding information for you, and automating tasks as and when needed. There's a Copilot in practically every Microsoft platform now, but today we will look at Copilot for OneDrive. Copilot for OneDrive, as we speak, does three things. One, summarize documents. Second, compare files. And third, generate FAQs or frequently asked questions from documents. And it does these three things in minimal effort and interesting ways. Let's take a look. Say you're working on a research paper, a white paper, report, or perhaps an RFP response, and you have a bunch of supporting documents at your disposal that will help you shape up your final artifact. The general workflow is you go through these documents one by one, and give them a quick scan, and figure out if you want to use them or not. A fairly time-consuming process. But with Copilot for OneDrive, you can select a file, click a little Copilot button, and select Summarize, and it immediately gives you a summary of what's in the document. In this example, I want to know what's in the assistive technology blog brochure. So I select it, click Copilot, and choose Summarize, and get the summary of the document instantly. And just to verify, I can also open the file to confirm if indeed the content presented to me in the summary is factual. So when I'm working with multiple documents, I can save a lot of time with the Summarize feature. Next, let's look at comparing files. Say I have multiple files in my OneDrive with somewhat similar names, and I quickly want to understand the difference between the two. So I select the two files and choose Copilot from the top. See how, in addition to Summarize, this time it now has Compare Files as an option as well. Before I compare the files, though, I do want to get a summary of each document. So I click Summarize, and as expected, it gives me a summary for each file this time. I can read through the two summaries and understand what's in them. One seems a lot more strategic and broad, while the other one is relatively tactical in nature. Now I choose Compare Files, and this is where it sheds some light on additional insights. In our example, it is highlighting key points, regions covered, company sizes, and audiences it is meant for. And all of this information is helpful because it is helping me identify which document has a lot more valuable information that I can include in my research or report. Third, let's take a look at creating an FAQ. Now, this is something, in my opinion, important for not just researching information for a report, but also to upskill ourselves and stay on top of things as new information and knowledge is released in our respective industries. In our example here, we have a document that's a whopping 326 pages long and contains the newest information in terms of new features and abilities that have been introduced in a certain Microsoft technology. Now, I don't know about you, but I usually dread these lengthy documents. But I also know that it's important for me to absorb this content, at least some of it that I'm truly interested in. This is where we can use Copilot in OneDrive and create an FAQ, or frequently asked questions. Instantly, it gives me a set of FAQs to help me understand the content. But what it generates in the first go, is it really helpful? Well, not really, because what it generates is very vague and high level. But this is where I can tell Copilot to generate a lot more questions and start giving me specific details on topics I am interested in. Now we have started diving into the topics and started grasping the contents we are interested in. So what we saw are three crucial abilities that can speed up our research, keep us focused, and help us accomplish our research and information finding tasks a lot more quickly. But let's get real for a second. How beneficial are these features in the short and long run? It depends on how much you trust these abilities and how much you want to rely on. Do I personally trust these summaries and FAQs? To a large extent, yes, but not fully. Why? Well, because we know that generative AI is capable of making mistakes and presenting inaccurate information. And that's why every generative AI product still has this warning that says something along the lines of, this content may be inaccurate, please check for accuracies, etc. But this ability is getting better with time, and instead of dismissing it for its inaccuracy, I want to proceed with caution, keep an eye on it, and see if I can continue to get comfortable with it. One thing I can say for sure is I have been using these newer abilities, and they have definitely been helpful. The other thing to consider is, are we relying too much on summaries and getting to a point where we don't read the full content at all? This is a rhetorical question, in my opinion, that all of us as individuals and communities and institutions have to address at some point. But overall, we are seeing a shift in how we access knowledge and information. And also, not to mention that working with information, especially on digital devices, is a physically, emotionally, and cognitively laborious process because of the amount of typing, mouse clicking, and scrolling that goes into such activities. Imagine someone with a cognitive disability who is already overworked and overtaxed and perhaps underpaid, can get overwhelmed by all this raw information around them easily. Imagine someone with a physical disability, arthritis, muscular dystrophy, spinal cord injuries, or any other disability that doesn't make using keyboard and mice easy. I think for those individuals, something like Copilot may be very helpful. We have entered a new realm where the old ways of working are slowly drifting away. Are you excited by what you're seeing? Are you scared? Are you confused? Overwhelmed? Would love to hear from you about what you think. But coming back to Copilot for OneDrive, if you have access to it, give it a shot and let us know how it goes for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.